What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Dummy Wormy. I'm coming at you with another video, and ever since the initial world premiere trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows, audiences have been rejecting it. You can even come over here to the American trailer, in which you can see a 606,000 downvotes to only 303,000 upvotes. That's a 50% difference right there, and the comment section is filled with negative feedback after negative feedback, predominantly around the usage of Yasuke, who was not historically a samurai, but there was other things people were pointing out as well, from the lack of accuracy to the architecture, armaments, foliage, people, all sorts of controversies were spinning up from this, and the overall disrespect that was given to the massive Japanese audience. Well, since then, you've also seen the Japanese trailer get massively downvoted, sitting at 57,000 downvotes to only 5.4 thousand upvotes. But some people wanted to say, well, this was a bunch of Americans coming in here and throwing off the ratios. This was not honest individuals here. Well, since we ended up seeing the launch of the brand new story trailer, in which you can also see not an awful like to dislike ratio number sit right now, sitting at 39,000 downvotes to 27,000 upvotes. That's not awful, but you come over here to the Japanese trailer, and you can see much different situation going on here with 3.8 thousand downvotes to 419 upvotes. Audiences have rejected it. Audiences are refusing to participate with this trailer, and it gets even more telling that Ubisoft doesn't have faith in this game when you consider the fact that the game wasn't just delayed once, but twice. And in the initial delay, they specifically cited the fact that Star Wars Outlaws was buggy. They specifically cited learning from Star Wars Outlaws launch taught them that they needed to delay the game to make sure something like Star Wars Outlaws didn't happen again. And for those of you wondering what happened during Star Wars Outlaws, that game was a buggy, broken mess. And this is just one of the many examples that came out from that game. But players who bought the game early were forced to completely redo their entire save file because of a game-breaking bug that wouldn't let them leave certain planets. This was a massive failure for Ubisoft. This was a massive disaster for Ubisoft, and it goes to show you that they can't put out good quality games anymore. They were constantly putting out subpar product after subpar product. So what did they do? With fears that Assassin's Creed Shadows was going to be the same thing, they delayed it not once, but twice. Well, now we're starting to get some information about why they really delayed it. Guys, it wasn't because of Star Wars Outlaws now and the launch that they specifically cited. It was actually because they wanted to fix up the parkour. Assassin's Creed Shadows director says a recent delay was to polish parkour, especially on super complex roofs. Now, I don't believe this is the reason they delayed the game right now, because they added on 3 additional months prior to this. I think there's some other stuff going on, predominantly some bad PR that started coming out. But let's say that this is the actual reason they delayed the game. Well, why don't we actually read what this guy had to say? Assassin's Creed Shadows game director claims 4-month delay was primarily to improve parkour on Japanese architecture. And you scroll down here and we see what he had to say. Speaking with IGN, Benoit told the outlet that the delay was mostly about polishing and that it worked on a couple of things in progression to make it more engaging, also balancing a bit more. However, he then shared the biggest thing the team worked on was the parkour on Japanese architecture. The Japanese architecture, the roofs, are super complex. Probably the most complex thing that I've ever worked with if we compare to Odyssey and Syndicate. We need specific codes and specific animations to support something super fluid, changing the transition of the parkour to make it even more fluid, he elaborated. So that's one of the specific feedback that we heard that we wanted to address, and it really improved since the last few months. Okay. That's all you wanted to do. You just wanted to edit and fix up the parkour aspects of this game. Well, I don't really believe that, considering, again, we come back over here to the initial reason you delayed the game to start with. The company explained, while the game is feature complete, the learnings from the Star Wars Outlaws release led us to provide additional time to further polish the title. You specifically cited Star Wars Outlaws. That was a broken, buggy mess that was a complete and total failure for the company. And the saddest part about this, I can actually believe that this is all they focused in on with this 4 additional months. That all they cared about was fixing the parkour, because we've been recently seeing new things revolving the game. Now, I initially pulled this one up, which, yes, it's a small thing, but it's not the only thing that's come out about how broken this game is right now. And I'll play this a little bit for you guys.
Okay. Hold on a second. Hello,
Oh,
buddy. Hello.
hello.
Come here.
Can't pet the dog. Can't pet the dog. Well, you could probably say, well, that's a hitbox issue. That's a small thing. I've been seeing people say, well, this isn't a big issue to be pointing out or anything like that. Well, we also got this that recently came out. Yeah, this is Yasuke fighting enemies. Yeah, super not buggy, guys. Super not buggy. And here's the thing. I can get people saying this isn't a big deal. This is probably just small things. It's a pattern. It's a pattern of recognition now. It's a consistent pattern. We saw similar things coming out when it came to Star Wars Outlaws. We saw similar broken, buggy messes around that initial launch. We saw people pointing these issues out, and they were acknowledging that the game was busted. Again, people that bought the game early had to completely redo their entire save file because the game was so broken. All of this points to the fact that Ubisoft still hasn't learned anything, and that Assassin's Creed Shadows will be just as broken as this game, especially when you consider some of the things that have come out about the game. Ubisoft executive says Assassin's Creed Shadows devs think it's the worst thing they've ever seen. Because remember, the vast majority of the people working on this game have never built a game in their entire life. During the Q&A portion of the interview, he also revealed that many other people working on Ubisoft on the Assassin's Creed franchise have no experience with the franchise. He said, one of the things that I've noticed since the pandemic is that we have a lot of juniors in our teams. Probably half the team that's building Assassin's Creed is building a game for the first time. You have half your freaking team has never made a game in its life. And you're putting them on Assassin's Creed Shadows. You're putting them in development of this thing. That's a bad idea. That's a monumental failure. And that's going to lead us to what we are seeing right now. And the thing is, all these point to mismanagement and the simple fact that the game's not going to make money. Assassin's Creed executive producer reveals AAA games need to sell 10 million copies to break even. Now, this was coming out around the initial delay of the game, in which they increased the budget by 20 million euros, which is around $21 million. At the time that this came out, I actually believe that they probably needed about 8 million, 9 million copies just to break even. With the latest delays, this game probably needs to sell about 10 million copies to break that even point. I initially thought this was a hyperbolic number. No, I'm willing to bet that this is the true number that this game needs to sell just to break even. And what we're more than likely going to see is the fundamental bankruptcy of Ubisoft. There's no way you can actually pull yourself out of this at this point. All you are seeing is that this game is going to flop. All you are seeing is sign after sign that this is just going to be another Star Wars Outlaws release, and it's going to be a monumental failure for the company and ultimately lead them to their final bankruptcy. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me get you guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it out with friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video go live, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.